Hello there, everyone. You know who I am, E.T. Templar, alien crusader from beyond the heavens, here to entertain and destroy through the power of me magic. So, if you've been following my community tab, I posted two stories. One of them was based off a pen and paper game that I would love to actually make a thing called Designed Mutagenic Weapons. And you're basically this disgraced scientist working for the Department of Defense or some corporation, and you make a mutagenic creature that then you unleash on the corporation or Department of Defense, right? So the story is you create this monster, you play the monster in the pen and paper game, while these containment teams try to kill the monster. So with that, I had elements of, using the different Dungeons and Dragons dice. If you want to have like a random generated creature, that's what that was. Or, if you were like a dungeon master, for example, or just wanted to pick your own monster, you could do that too. And so with Outbreak Nightmares, Outbreak Nightmare, I did the same thing, and I'm going to do this in a video. So, and I'm going to do this officially randomly with dice, and I'm going to use this dice roller, which is a link for free on dungeonsanddragons.com D&D dice. So this is just something here. Let's see if I can zoom in on this, because if we can... Oh, shit. Nope. No, we can't. That sucks ass. So, and I'm going to read all these. So, basically, the first section is how the outbreak happens. And, of course, these are just to supplement, a Dungeon Master story, or these are eventually going to be made into some form of pen and paper game, hopefully. But so this is how the outbreak happens. If you roll a 1, it's a parasitic life form falls off a meteor. So basically like some kind of alien extremophile. I think that's the cells that survive in space or like in heat and cold or whatever. 2 is negligence at an experimental viral lab. So basically someone doesn't wash their hands, or somehow someone accidentally takes the virus home with them, and that leads to an outbreak. That's kind of similar to real world events, but 4 is outbreak caused by a doomsday cult. So a doomsday cult basically makes or comes up with a virus and unleashes it on humanity. 5 is an intentional outbreak caused by a big pharmaceutical or big pharma. We all know these fuckers are evil and will ruin lives just for monetary gain. If you follow the opioid epidemic, that's what that was. 6, a mid-air collision with the military plane carrying experimental chemical or gas. So basically it's a mid-air collision or disaster that happens over a small town, and then just develops from there. 7 is an experimental drug unleashed within the street drug market or by Big Pharma. So it's basically an illegal drug someone comes across, and it affects people in a bad way. And 8 is a Luciferian ritual that opens a portal or rift to hell. And of course, 3rd, if I miss this one, mass voodoo indoctrination, which is, your basic zombie, how your original zombies started, right? And of course, the next section, or actually, let me roll for this. So we have our 1d8 here, which is this purple looking guy. So we're going to roll that. So we rolled a 7, which is an experimental drug unleashed in the drug market. So if I was to create a scenario on this, that would be the scenario. Some enterprising drug dealer finds this weird drug, and he just cuts it in with let's say some drug you snort up your nose or heroin, and then it causes a zombie outbreak. So zombie characteristics, I actually racked my brain coming up with these. Basically, I tried to come up with the most horrific shit I can think of as far as zombies are concerned. So there's 20 of these. So the first one is sentient. One thing that always terrified me about a zombie outbreak is zombies that are still functioning mentally, right? I think in the 28 Days Later zombie movies, I think those zombies do have a higher intelligence because they ambush guys with guns and stuff. So sentient zombies are definitely a terrifying idea because they still have high functioning, like, mental capabilities. If you watch the old Day of the Dead movies in the 80s, there was like a series, Day of the Dead, or Day of the Living Dead. And those zombies were terrifying because they not only didn't die, but they operated radios and stuff. And that's what affected some of these choices. So, number 1 is sentient zombies. 2 is kind of a gross one. Infectious spores or legions, right? So this is where they either pop or they have spores that can get into the air, which then victims breathe in, or like pus-filled lesions, right? 3 is run fast or high motor functions, which basically would be running zombies or zombies that can parkour or use their hands and arms to grapple you and so on and so forth. 4 is armored or mutated carapace, which this was a situation I was thinking, like, in all the zombie movies, people with guns usually win the day, but like, what if there were zombies out there that had like a mutagenic carapace that made them resistant to bullets? Can you imagine how terrifying that'd be? So a zombie is chasing you down and you're firing bullets into this thing and the bullets aren't having much an effect, right? That'd be a terrifying zombie. 5 would be communication or hive mind. That's another terrifying, like, could you imagine if zombies, like, communicated with each other, or had a form of communication, or, like, if they all were moved, which, of course, that will come into play later. 6, we have the ability to use tools and machines. There was, one of the George A. Romero movies, City of the Dead, maybe? I don't really remember, but there was one where they could use grenades and guns. So zombies being able to use weapons, or if you ever played the Resident Evil games, I think it's Resident Evil 4, or there's one of them where the zombies actually use weapons. There's even a zombie in the video game that like uses a chainsaw, and that is the most terrifying shit. Or machines. So zombies that can drive cars or operate, which is a really silly idea, but also very terrifying. 7, organized tactics or hierarchy, like a command structure. That'd be another terrifying aspect. Zombies actually orchestrating. I guess that could also been with communication, hive mind, but I didn't think of that until now. 8 is acidic bile ducts or quills. So these are zombies that can, spit up bile and melt through, barricades or cars, vehicles, or quills, for example. They could shoot quills, like, out of their bodies or, like, out of their throats or something. That is also kind of inspired from StarCraft. StarCraft, there was this unit of the Zerg called a hydralisk, and it fired these quills. It would shoot these quills, and it would kill your units. But that'd just be another terrifying aspect, right? You come across a zombie in a hallway, and the thing hawks up a, like, spiked quill at your face. 9 is an interesting one. There was an Italian movie, to get off track here, that had zombies that could swim. So 9, of course, is stealth or aquatic zombies, right? Because the idea is people, the one thing that, people always use to trump these whole zombie ideas, get on a boat or like an oil rig or an island somewhere, right? But with this, zombies could also like sneak on you. Like if they could have the ability to sneak or be subtle and then be able to swim underwater, that's just all kinds of terrifying, because then they could be hiding in a river or lake or what have you. And 10 is a very grody one. A brood, or the ability to reproduce. So the brood angle is like, say, maybe zombies mutate the function to cultivate eggs, which is a very disgusting idea, or the ability that zombies can still reproduce after they've been infected. So basically, weird undead. I don't need to get into details, do I, right? They can produce offspring, which is a pretty terrifying idea. Let's keep rolling. Number 11 is cross-contamination, which this is a thing in the community world or the medical field where it's like cross contamination. So like it'd be like bird flu, chicken flu, or swine flu, something that's transmissible between species like human and animal. So basically, number 11 would give the zombies ability to infect animals, or that the virus would be able to infect animals. And not only do you have humans to worry about, you can have mutated animals to worry about. Lions, elephants, say it gets loose in a zoo, and then you have like zombie crocodiles and all kinds of crazy stuff. So that's another scary idea. Number 12 was kind of a cool one. Short range teleportation. Right? This I thought up because I was like, how else could we make a zombie terrifying? Oh, well, what if we gave a zombie the ability to teleport, right? You think you've gotten away from a zombie, you ran away, you outran it, then all of a sudden it teleports to where you're at and then gnaws on your brain or your face. I get chills thinking about that. 13 is hyper-awareness. So these would be zombies that would have the ability, which again kind of goes with the sentient or communication angle, but 13 would be hyper-awareness, right? These are zombies that see, hear, and feel, which would be an interesting thing. Zombies with super hearing, so you can't sneak around them, and they can always find you. Oh, and sense of smell, of course. 14 is another interesting one because I was just thinking, how else could we make zombies terrifying? And this one, 14, is dormant personality. So let's just say theoretically, like a virus or zombie outbreak can create a split personality in someone that gets activated by like let's say a witch doctor or an alpha or a brood king or queen, that it's just dormant until it gets activated at a unique time. So let's say this virus infects, like let's say a leader of the group, or let's say even a president, right? And then all of a sudden the witch doctor or the alpha or the brood queen or king activates it. Then that zombie effectively just turns and activates right there, right? So it's a dormant virus or mutation that is only activated by command somehow through another power or outside force. And that idea is just terrifying because you can have other survivors that could be infected by this dormant personality for months, years, and then all of a sudden whatever dark force is behind the zombies activates it, and then you have, the situation where you have people who didn't know they were infected turning on their friends and so on and so forth. 15 is biomass manipulation, which I didn't really explain this one good, I think, in the post. But imagine this. So let's say the zombies have the ability to combine. So they use biomass or like genetic material to mutate themselves into other things. So let's say you come across like a horde of zombies, right? And you alert them. And then all of a sudden the zombies just form into one gnarled, unidentified mess of like combination of flesh and bone, and it mutates into a bigger, faster, like just grotesque abomination that chases you down. I think that, not to toot my own horn, but that's a just nightmarish scenario, right? Because then the zombies now, it's not just zombies, but they can form together and make other forms or bigger forms of zombies. 16 is an interesting idea. They mutate a tail or stinger, right? So let's just say it's like a actual vestigial tail, or it's a tail or tentacle thing that shoots out of the wrist or arms. That could be like just terrible, because then they can grapple across stuff now. They can grapple to other buildings, they can grapple up elevations or down things, or they could use this, like maybe it has like a poison, right? So they can sting you. And of course, if you had that mixed with the dormant personality, someone could get injured with this and have that dormant personality. Anyways, so you can see where there's ways you can mix and match these. 17 is another cool aspect, non-decaying or non-degenerative, right? So basically what this means is if you look at The Walking Dead, the natural cause of the dead bodies, they break down over time, right? So if it's hot, cold, humid, it affects the body of the Walking Dead. But in this case, if they're non-decaying or not degenerative, they're around forever and they're a threat as long as they're like shambling about. And that's a scarier idea because then they're always there until you destroy them. So basically, anyone, when they think they're safe, could potentially come across zombies somewhere in a sewer, subway, and them still be fully capable to kill and eat you. So let's see, what else do we got? Oh, 18 was slow regeneration or healing factors, right? So think of zombies that if you don't remove their head, they regenerate organs and damaged parts. So let's say you chop off a zombie's arm and then you run away, and then like 8 or 24 hours later, it grows its arm back. So, but it's just a slow regeneration. So you could still kill these zombies, but if you leave them unscathed or fully undestroyed, they regenerate their parts or damage done to them. 19 is a very gross one because I was thinking about Ebola, right? Which it was like a horrendous hemorrhagic disease where you bleed out your eyes and other orifices. So hemorrhagic spitting. So these are zombies that can hawk up chunks of blood at their potential targets they want to infect. Kind of like the horny toad can shoot like blood out its eyes. These type of zombies would do that, and they generate more blood than usual because their goal is to infect more victims or targets to spread the disease, which the idea of that is just disgusting. Or they pop and blow their blood all over. Anyways, 20 is an interesting one, lightly telekinetic, right? So these are zombies that they can't move big things, but they can ensnare you with their mind or throw objects at you with their mind. So if you're trying to run away and one of them, like, say, picks up a chunk of concrete and hits you in the legs and pins you, and then that's all she wrote. So according to this story, we rolled a 7, I believe. So we have an experimental drug that some drug dealing scum or enterprising criminal has unleashed on the public. So I'm going to roll for zombie characteristic. Oh, and with the zombie characteristics part, it's pick 3 or roll 3. So these zombies are going to have 3 of these. So you can get some interesting, terrifying combinations. So let's roll a d20, which is this bright orange guy right here. We're going to roll this 3 times, and I'm going to write these down, and then we're going to see what kind of hellscape zombie we get. So we have a 19. Alright, what else do we get? A 14. Oh, God. And a 15. Okay. So, according to this story, we have a zombie that has hemorrhagic spitting, and it has a dormant personality, and it's biomass manipulation. So get a load of this nightmare scenario, and I'll describe this. So this experimental drug breaks out into the public, and these zombies have the dormant personality, as we discussed, biomass manipulation, and hemorrhagic spitting. So it's a zombie that can spit chunks of blood at distance to, infect victims, right? So we have a situation in which an experimental drug gets unleashed through the public. It gets cut into, let's say, just hypothetically, cocaine or heroin. So drug addicts shoot this or they ingest this drug, and then before you know it, they turn, and now you have a whole bunch of drug victims that are spitting up blood, hemorrhagic chunks, onto other people and passersby in the general public. And some of these people are getting a dormant personality, and they don't know they're infected. So these people go see a doctor, and they're like, "Oh, some crazy homeless guy spit on me," but they don't know they're infected, and it's not discovered that they are. And with this biomass manipulation, now you have these zombies out there and infected people that can join their gnarled mess or flesh and mutate into undescript, just chunks of flesh, bone, and gnarled monster. And see, that's where these are fun. This is why I have fun making these combinations of things, because you can just roll with it, right? And if you don't want to do the random angle, you can create whatever combination within these 20 that you wanted. There is a D100 dice, which has 100 sides, which that would be cool to do with like something like this on, but you would have to come up with 100 different variations, right? So the next part is weaknesses. So this is the part where the zombies have some form of weakness. If you were a dungeon master that wanted to have these zombies have a weakness, right? So they can be killed, so that the players of the pen and paper game, whether it's Dungeons & Dragons or this particular game, where they could overcome the zombies through this, exploit these weaknesses. And the first one is temperature climate. So would these zombies be affected by extreme cold, heat, humidity, so on and so forth, elemental factors? 2 is chemical weakness. Now this would be like, are they weak to, let's say, bleach, ammonia, or are they affected by antibiotics, for example? Stuff like that. 3 is nocturnal, so would these zombies only come out at night? Maybe that's their weakness, that during the day they slumber, which would allow the survivors and adventurers to, get materials and kill these things while they're sleeping, but then at night they come out in mass. And 4 is, of course, susceptibility to ballistics, which is, the typical destroy the brain, being shot in the head or smashed in the head. 5 is electrical weakness. Maybe these zombies, for whatever reason, can't resist electricity. They don't have enough ohms or whatever resistance to electricity, so they just pop or catch fire when you electrocute them. And 6, I kind of borrowed from the Army of the Dead, which was this shitty Netflix movie, but it had a cool premise about an alpha. So I combined this with a witch doctor, brood king or queen, and of course these leader types of the zombies would be stronger, but if you kill them, then the horde suffers, right? Then they become these aimless, like automatons, and they eventually just die off slowly because they don't have that connection to the witch doctor, the alpha, the brood king or queen. And let's see what our zombies' weakness is. And of course, with this, you would pick 1 or 2 if you wanted to have it easy mode. But let's roll a d6. A d6 is this orange guy on the second list. So let's see what our nightmare zombies are weak to. And it is a 1. So cold, temperature, climate. So these zombies, even though they have hemorrhagic spitting, biomass manipulation, and a dormant personality, we could say that maybe up in Alaska or the Arctic Circle, Russia, or parts of Canada, that there's just places where these zombies, the cell structure or the virus doesn't, it kills the zombie. So, of course, with this in the story, you can introduce like maybe a cold gun, something that shoots ice, or a liquid nitrogen gun, or a liquid nitrogen thrower, and then, the survivors could combat these hemorrhagic spitting biomass dormant personality zombies with freezing them. Or a flamethrower, melt these zombies. So that's what the purpose of these are. They're just to enhance pen and paper games, and I probably will somehow make this into a actual pen and paper game. And the other one, design mutagenic weapons, where you make your own monster creature. Originally, if I had a social life and if I could find another Dungeons and Dragons group, this is how I'd run my campaigns off of, right? Because you have these set of things that you as a dungeon master could pick without them knowing, right? And that's half the fun to Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing. is that you can create these campaigns with surprises for the people playing them. So that's why a lot of nerds and people are into Dungeons and Dragons, because it's just fun role-playing stuff. You put your self in a character's shoes, and it's basically like movies and video games, only where the only limitation is your imagination, as far as like fantasy, sci-fi, horror, and stuff like that. And it's not even just limited to Dungeons and Dragons. If you want to just role play, you can create your own whole worlds by yourself. The only thing that's required is that it's fair, and that you give your players a chance to survive and or come back from the dead. Because usually, sometimes what happens in Dungeons and Dragons is characters die and that's it. So this has been a 25-minute video of me talking about Outbreak Nightmare, which is just a little thing I like to do, and these are things I love to do. So if anyone listening to this can watch this or use these in a Dungeons and Dragons or role-playing situation, that would be cool. That would mean a lot to me. That'd be cool. Or if you use these to create your own fictional short story, I don't care. Use these any way you want. All I ask is that you drop a like or dislike, comment your thoughts below, and there's also a donation, a subscribe star, which you can donate monthly. It's a subscription service to benefit this channel and me. Basically, I'm just going to have all these posts on Subscribe Star be public, so you can enjoy them even if you don't want to donate. But if you do, that would be cool. If not, that's fine too. But if someone can use this Outbreak Nightmare or the other one, Design Mutagenic Weapons, in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign or pen and paper game or roleplay, that would be cool. But this is just the things I like to do that keeps me busy, keeps my mind busy, it keeps my depression at bay, it keeps it keeps me busy, it keeps me happy to create things. And I did notice that there was people who actually enjoyed the Design Mutagenic Weapons one on the community tab, and that means so much, that the fact because people figure out how to make their own monsters, and they made some cool ass creatures, if I have to say so myself. And that was my problem is I have a creative mind. I can create a lot of things, but very few people ever enjoy them or see them. So the fact that there was a few people who did, you know what? Let me mention just those people right now, since I'm thinking about it. All right, let's see. Pick and choose your own advantage. No, where is it? Okay, so here it is. Let me go to the comments. And just to mention, Nikki Chuckles and Moonchild, for even figuring that out and creating their own monsters, their own mutagenic weapons. And it was very cool to see people figure out how to do that. And there is a Discord. I do have a Discord. So if in the future anyone does want to be a top tier nerd and roleplay these scenarios, whether it's Outbreak Nightmare or Design Mutagenic Weapons, I'd be happy to do that. And the invite link for that should be either pinned in the comments or the description. And thank you for watching 28 minutes of me describe and talk about my Outbreak Nightmare thing. Hopefully these are entertaining videos, and hopefully if at the very least someone could use these in their own role-playing, creative writing, or hell, if this just inspires someone to get involved in the creative writing process or just creative process, that's a mission accomplished for me. And hell, if this even entertains someone, that's just an extra bonus. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. I will see you guys next time. God bless. Stay happy. Stay healthy. And hopefully you guys had a good and happy Halloween. I will see you guys next time.